It's time for some straight talk. The big wireless companies charge a boatload for their superior network coverage. But guess what? Straight Talk uses the same cell towers but charges a lot less. Who knew? Well, now you do. And I do. So let's do something. It's time to switch to Straight Talk. Unlimited plans start as low as $35 a month on America's largest, most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. Only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. A month equals 30 days. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
I'm so looking forward to talking to our next guest because if you saw that open or heard that open, you heard two parts of it were my sons when they signed their letters of intent to go to Notre Dame. So they were 18 then. And obviously, Mike works here now. He's going to be on the new show with Trey. We start November 27th. Jake was married to Jenny in July, and they own businesses in Boston and doing a great job. They first met Bill Curry when I did a game in Syracuse. Because you could drive there, I brought Mike and Jake, and they were young kids. And that's when they first met. They were running around on the football field when they first met Bill. That's how long, Bill has been part of my life, and he's been part of this show forever. But I so enjoyed those games with him, forgetting the games, but just there's nothing like two ball players watching tape. We would do it for hours, the day before the game and wherever we were, and then obviously doing the game together. But just sitting and talking to him and just getting his views on things has been a joy. And I think for everybody who's listened or watched this show, you have gotten the wisdom of Bill Curry.
Yes, I think it informed a lot of what we did early in our days. And as I always used to say when I introduced him, he snapped the ball to Johnny Unitas and to Bart Starr. He played for Don Shula, and he played for Vince Lombardi, and he has the wisdom that was extremely important to us early in our years. We could not have let this day go by without saying good morning to our friend Bill Curry, who joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Look at him. How are you, Bill? It's great to see you.
Well, I'm sad, but I'm also blessed to get a chance to be with you at this time. I hate to see you two part. I know great things are down the road for both of you. I love both of you and your families. And, Mike, I distinctly remember those boys running around at Syracuse, and it's hard to believe to see them as grown men now. And I also remember when Mike Jr., when you and I did the 7 overtime game, Ole Miss and Arkansas, he had fallen asleep. He wakes up the next morning. They had the replay, and he runs downstairs and says, "Mom, they're still playing at 7 a.m." My gosh, there's so many things that I got to be close to the Golic family. And Greeny, I didn't get to know your family as well, but I love you guys and appreciate what you do. I think you've had a bigger impact than maybe you can realize.
There's been, Bill, for you, in talking to you over the years, you went from the player and the rough, tough football player in an era that was a rough, tough era to that way as a coach as well. and then, to see you now, when you started the program at Georgia State, and to see you as a grandfather to so many grandkids and see how you act now, where did age truly bring the wisdom of to kick back and enjoy things a little bit from when you were a player and when you were a coach?
Wow, that's a great question. If I have anything to be very proud of, it is a marriage to the greatest person I've ever known, Carolyn Curry. Right behind that, I've been exposed to great human beings, some of them Greeny just mentioned, to have snapped the ball to Bart Starr and Johnny Unitas, and so many other great quarterbacks, just to have been in the huddle with the greatest players of our era, Willie Davis, John Mackey, Paul Hornung, and all those guys had such an impact. The coaches, there is a lot of wisdom in the minds of those people. And I've been exposed to all of it. That doesn't mean that all of it took. I wish it had. I wish I could have played and coached the way those guys did. But I was exposed to it, and that's given me a different kind of perspective than I would have had. As for calming down, the answer to your question is yes. With 7 grandchildren, there's no time to be uptight. We get to go to their events. We're going to a state playoff game in Virginia for our grandson Elliot, who's playing tonight in Lynchburg, Virginia. And it's a very big deal to the Currys that we're all going to be there.
That's terrific. Mike and Mike, Bill Curry is with us here chatting. And people ask me frequently about moments that stick out for me over the years of the show. And one of them is, I remember I asked you a question, and I'll see if you remember the way you answered it, because I have quoted it a million times. I was introducing you once, and I said, well, he's a former coach, he's a former player. And I said, Bill, that's an interesting thought. Do you think of yourself first and foremost as a former player or a former coach? Do you remember what you said?
Well, I know what I think right now. I have no idea what I was thinking yesterday or years ago. That's all vacated. But I think of myself, if I dream about football, I don't dream about coaching. I dream about playing. I think about playing. I would love to line up against Golic and just see what happened. It would be so much fun.
Listen, now
that was the answer. What he said, Mike, was he said, when I dream at night, I don't dream about coaching.
You don't dream of saying I made a great play call there. You dream of saying I made a great block there or a great sack. And now it's amazing. I'm getting it from both sides. I get Bill talking about wanting to block me. I got my own kid talking about, boy, if I could have blocked you. The one thing you guys had in common is you played center. And I remember when Mike was in New Orleans, and during practice, occasionally, he would have to snap to Drew Brees, a guy who's walking into the Hall of Fame. And I remember, because he's a young player, thinking, oh, my God, if I snap the ball and break his finger or do something bad to Drew Brees' hand, I'm going to be out on the next train. You snap the ball to Bart Starr and to Johnny Unitas. Any of those moments ever happen for you?
I broke Bart Starr's finger my rookie year. We're warming up. I'm not making this up. We're warming up to play the Vikings. I'm the backup center. I play on all the special teams. I'm just so happy to be there. The managers are supposed to catch the balls as they're being returned. I'm snapping the ball. Bart's throwing the ball, and the receivers are jogging and making the catches during the warm-ups. So a football is allowed to escape, and it bounces against the tip of the ball I was about to snap. I hesitated. If I had been a veteran, I just wouldn't have snapped the ball, and Bart would have pulled out, no consequences. But instead, I tried to hurry and snap the ball. It hit him right on the end of the index finger, snapped it. He goes ahead and plays. I was in stark terror. He runs on the field, throws a touchdown pass to Boyd Dowler. I'll never forget this. And I was so relieved. Oh, God, Lombardi's not going to kill me and eat me now. Bart runs off the field as I'm running on to snap for the extra point, and he says to Lombardi in a very loud voice, I'm out. My finger is worthless. And he did not play the rest of the day. I'll never forget that. And you know what? Lombardi never even mentioned it to me. I don't know if he knew what happened. And Bart didn't hold it against me, thank goodness. But that actually happened.
That is remarkable. Mike and Mike and the great Bill Curry. And among the many reasons we wanted to have you today, not first and foremost is to say thank you for all that you brought to our show. But second is because you always have such enlightening wisdom that you can share not just with us but with our audience. And so I would start that part of the conversation by asking you, you played for these two brilliant, legendary coaches. Let's start with Lombardi. If there was one lesson you learned from Lombardi that you've taken with you through your life that you think would be meaningful to our audience today, what would it be?
Vince Lombardi's greatest attribute, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, whether you look at it from the human standpoint or the spiritual standpoint, he was a deeply spiritual man. Or if you look at it from a competitive advantage standpoint, his greatest asset is that he would not tolerate racism. We had more African-American players on the Green Bay Packers. Get the team pictures out and study them. Other teams had quotas, or they had no African-American players, and they bragged about it. And nobody could beat us. And I remember thinking, I wonder if these people are going to figure this out. So that was Coach Lombardi's greatest attribute, I think. Beyond his intensity and obviously he was a great teacher. He was a high school physics teacher. He sat me down my first day with the team, and I had arrived late from the college all-star game. He drew up the entire Packer offense on a yellow legal pad in about 2 hours. I still remember that lesson. That's what great teachers. So his second greatest attribute, I think, was his capacity to break things into simple components that even people like me could understand. And I'm 75 years old, and I could draw those plays today. And I can't draw up systems from other processes that I was in. So Coach Lombardi had a lot going for him, but those are the things that stick out in my mind that are helpful for people. It would be very helpful for the leaders of our country to pay attention to some of those attributes.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into your thoughts of everything happening now. But then Don Shula you played for. I played for Don toward the end of his career in 1993 with Miami. You obviously played for him more in the beginning of his career. So what were the big lessons and thoughts you took from him?
Well, Don Shula saved my career. Don Shula took a lot of guys, I was one of them, that nobody else wanted. You study those great teams they had with the Dolphins, a lot of those guys had arrived as free agents. Some of them are in the Hall of Fame now. But it's because Don Shula believed in us. And I had been put on the expansion list for New Orleans, which I thought was terrible. And Shula had called and asked me if I would be willing to play special teams for him in Baltimore. And I'll never forget what I said. I said, Coach, I would walk to Baltimore to play for you. Well, he brought me in and allowed me to play on special teams. And wouldn't you know, the very first game, national television, we're playing the Falcons, and I clip a guy on an 80-yard punt return. Shula runs on the field, grabs me by the shoulder pads, and screams in my face what I deserved to hear. It wasn't nice. Mm-hmm. And being the idiot that I was at the time, I screamed right back with the same language, not proud of that. Well, in the films, Coach John Sandusky, a couple of days later, says, Curry, is that a clip? I said, well, it might be. I guess it is. He said, well, let me make a suggestion to you, Curry. The next time you decide to dog cuss the head coach on national television, you make very sure that it's not a clip. You understand? Well, my Carolyn was flying in with our new baby girl a couple of days later, and I'm thinking, I'm going to have a one-game career. I'm going to be cut. Our child is arriving. I'm not going to have a job. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I went and found Shula, and this is the part that makes him great. He took me back in the equipment room, and I said, Coach, I was completely out of line. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have raised my voice to you. You did come across the white lines, and in the NFL, that's not a nice place. But I'm sorry that I used that language with you, and I shouldn't have been jumping in your face. You know what he said to me? He smiled. He said, I kind of like that. Just don't clip the guy. You think we played hard for him? If he ever decided he believed in a player, he would never give up on you. And the fact that he wouldn't give up on us, we didn't give up on him. So I love playing for him. He salvaged my career, and I really owe him everything in terms of my NFL career.
Again, Bill Curry joining us, two-time Super Bowl champ. Certainly it's a great title after a name, but so much more Bill Curry has been, and is to this show as well. Bill, I'd like you to kind of marry yesteryear and today, because I follow you on Twitter, and I know you do a lot of speaking as well about things going on today, but also things from yesteryear. And I think one of the best ways to tie it in, because I remember reading this in your book, your definition of the huddle, of just what a huddle is on the football field and how that can relate really to everything outside of football.
Most everybody can remember where we were on September 11th, 2001. I remember where I was on September 13th, which was Thursday. We were driving to our assignments. You and I were driving to Birmingham, Alabama to do the Southern Miss Alabama game because ESPN would not put us on airplanes. And we were going to be told by cell phone during that trip whether or not the games would be played. So I stopped for gas in Atala, Alabama. And this nice service station attendant said, well, Coach, are we going to play the games this weekend? I said, well, I don't know, but you may be the first fan in America to find out. Mm-hmm. Well, my phone rang, and we were told we weren't playing. So I go to the guy at the desk, and I said, well, we're not playing the games this weekend. And I'll never forget his response. His eyes bulged, his jugular stood out. He said, well, let me tell you something, Coach. In Atala, Alabama, Friday night, we're going to play football because it means a lot to us. I was stunned. And as I drove home, I thought, why does it mean a lot in Atala, Alabama, or College Park, Georgia, or Pueblo, Colorado? It means a lot in America because on Friday nights, the community huddles. And people sit together that never sit together the rest of the week. And when somebody's son scores a touchdown, the most unlikely hugs occur. Those children that have been raised to hate each other by the sick folks in our culture get in the locker room, they get in the huddle, and they learn to love each other. And that love and respect, regardless of the color of one's skin, regardless of religion, regardless of national origin, it lasts the rest of your life. Football is the only sport in which every player needs every teammate on every play just to survive. Well, the United States of America is structured similarly, and we seem to have forgotten that fact. So football is a little more profound than a lot of people understand, and that's what people need to hear, I think, about our business.
Well, I can't think of a better way to leave it than that. Bill, you have meant everything in the world to us over all these years. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate all the years, and I know they'll continue. We'll keep talking, I'm sure, but thank you for the time.
Well, you guys have had a great impact, and we love you.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Oh, can't do much better than that.
No, that's as good as it gets. Why don't we take a short break on that thought? We'll come back. We want to talk about a complete change of direction. Frank Caliendo is going to join us next. So
can he do a Bill Curry impression?
I don't think anyone in the world can do a Bill Curry impression. I would agree with that.
Hey, everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
We needed a moment there to recover. I won't lie to you. I was so overwhelmed by that appearance from Bill Curry.
Well,
because what can you say? I mean, if you were with us, then you know what I mean. And I'm told that the Twitter has exploded as a result of it.
You know, out of all of our guests over the years, and we've obviously had many, and then once we got into the Twitter phase and reactionary, immediate reaction to people, I don't know if Bill has ever received a negative reaction to him by anybody, and we can't say that about everybody. It's been unreal, and he and I's relationship goes back obviously years and years, and he was a tough football player. It's what he had to be, in that era, and what he's grown into now. The thoughtfulness coming out of him on everyday things is just really incredible. And I had initially forgotten about, after 9/11, that first drive of the first game we were going to do that got canceled, because he's right, ESPN didn't want us flying at that point. So we were going to drive, and that game got called off, before we got to that destination. So I believe the first game we did, it was a Syracuse game, and I'll never forget standing in that booth with myself and he and Dave Barnett, sing the national anthem, and just tears pouring down everybody's face of playing a game after that, and what football meant, and what it meant to be together then. And just that, it really just kind of encapsulates the relationship of myself and Bill, of learning so much from him. Just sitting down, whether it's in film or just having dinner and just talking to him about life, is really were great years that I had, and I'm glad my family has gotten to know him as well as they had. The man is just I can't say enough about him.
He's a special person. Yeah. I did not get to know him on the level that you did, but certainly in the earliest years of our show, he was around us a lot, and I did get to know him some. And there aren't not too many people whom I admire in the same way that I admire him. His wisdom is remarkable, and that clip right there, I was just saying to the crew, like right now, hashtag #MMSayThanks continues to be the number one trending topic. Right now, Bill Curry should be the number one trending topic. That was a message that I hope everybody heard. And we don't do any of that kind of talk on this show generally here. We haven't for 18 years. But you couldn't have said it any better.
No, the way he tied everything together was fantastic.
Anyway, that was great. So from the sublime to the ridiculous, I'm told we have a special guest on the phone right now. So let's chuck up the phone here and see who's called in to say hello to us on our final day. Good morning. Who is this?
I just wanted to say you guys have done an incredible job over there. And it's unbelievable. The back and back without the back and back. So we wanted to have anybody do. It's things you've done.
That's Lou Holtz, huh?
There's a little Lou Holtz for us, and I think there may be a few other voices along the way. I don't know exactly how many years ago it was that we Frank, this is obviously the great Frank Caliendo. Frank, how many years ago was it that you came in here with us the first time?
Well, it came in is different than I called a couple times early on because Scotty Shapiro, if you remember, he had worked in Atlanta and I'd done radio with him, and then he had brought me on the show to do I think Madden a couple times or something like that. And from there, it was years later. I'm not even really sure it was, but you guys were instrumental in me doing the stuff at ESPN, the 30 for 30, Gruden with Gruden. Because when I came in after being at Fox, the bosses had said, "Oh, we didn't know you did all these other impressions." And I'm like, I didn't do all those until today. I just figured, why not try and do a bunch of ESPN guys? And they're like, "Oh, well, we will do some segments with you for sure." So that worked out really well. So many times over the years you guys have done been there for me. I really appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you. And it was interesting to have you on the phone, and then the first time we had you in studio, the difference is incredible when you can see the facial, expressions that just has us absolutely crying, and to hear the different goodbyes.
You can also the radio does so many different things though, because people, when they don't get to see you, you can start trouble, like saying things like, "I've decided to become the next head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers."
That's
play that. People can play that over and over. I tell you what, man, it's going to be fun coaching Tennessee. You're going to enjoy that. Play that audio over and over. It's your last show. You guys can get away with murder.
That's exactly right.
We have John Gruden on tape now saying he's going to Tennessee.
There you go.
So the groomers have been confirmed here live on Mike and Mike. Is that now the number one thing that people know you for? Obviously, Madden was what you were legendary for. Is it Gruden now?
There's Gruden, there's Barkley, the Morgan Freeman because of the LeBron letter that was on with you guys, which was probably the biggest viral thing I've ever done, been a part of doing that. I remember doing that, the LeBron letter, and then that night Jimmy Fallon playing it for Morgan Freeman on The Tonight Show. And he's like, "Do you like it when people do impressions of you?" No. But that was just great.
I was so bummed. Frank, I was so bummed when he said that, because I saw that and I'm like, I thought he would have loved it, but he was a little less than lukewarm about that.
I think that's a funnier answer, though, don't you? To not like it. I don't know if he does or doesn't for sure, but I think it's funnier to go, not really. There's so many other things I'd rather listen to.
So let's hear on this, our last day together, just open up the arsenal, whoever it is you want to do, because we love. We might call out a few of them at the end if you don't do them, but just give us a couple of nice send-off messages from some of our favorites.
I tell you what, guys, I'm not going to miss you at all. I got your phone numbers. I'll be calling you every 5 seconds, letting you know that I'm bored. And anytime you knuckleheads need me, I'll be there for you. And this is great. Unbelievable. The last show. It's incredible. The times we've had, the days, the nights. This is the truth. As the Earth rotates and we feel it in the orbit around the sun, we'll know that tomorrow is another day, and I will be speaking all the way into Levitard. That's how long this goodbye is going to be. It's a Ray joke from texting me, and I figured it out that I could fit it into this Bill Walton voice right now. Just going crazy. Just get to the next voice. I mean, you think of all the things that you could do in the morning and all the people you could listen to, and you'd have thought they could have got two guys with different names, but they didn't. They got two guys with the same name. That's what I was saying when I called in. They said they sang,
I really can't remember any other voices I do, guys.
How about Stephen A?
I believe that this is the tranquility, the utter atmosphere that we're feeling right now. The radio will never be the same. You guys have done so much. And let me just say this. Mike Golic, Mike Greenberg, and they are friends. It's going to be a tremendous ride for all of us.
How about, I want to hear a goodbye from Mike Ditka.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys, I got to be honest with you. I've never listened to the show.
The time you came in and just started chewing gum as Ditka
was phenomenal.
is one of my favorite memories that I've ever had. You know that one of my favorite imitations, for whatever reasons, is Jim Rome.
Phenomenal. How great is this? This just became the best part of your show when I called in. Ridiculous. Phenomenal. Arugula. I'll tell you what, man, I love arugula. That's my favorite kind of lettuce.
Oh, my gosh.
And then let's leave it with the dean of ESPN, the grandfather, if you will, of all of us, and Chris Berman.
Yeah, there's been so many times that we've been on the same set, and I enjoy the time with Greenberg. I never actually look Golic in the eye. He scares me a little bit.
Frank, we've had so much fun with you over the years. We can't thank you enough. I know our audience has really appreciated all the laughs that you've brought for us. I remember being with you in Arizona. I remember the Super Bowl was in Arizona, and which is where Frank lives, and you came out and did the show like 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're sitting there making everybody laugh. So thank you very much for all the fun over the years, and be well. I'm sure we'll both be seeing you soon.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, and I really do appreciate everything you've done for me.
Oh,
thank you, Frank. Frank Caliendo. He's
great.
I love him.
It really was so different when he was on set for the first time, and you saw the facial expressions. I mean, just absolutely had us on the ground crying. He does such a great job.
FrankOnStage.com if you want to go see him. Really very funny and very enjoyable. And I don't know who this person is, but there's someone, and Mike, your wife Chris has been tweeting these. There's someone out there who obviously recorded every episode of our show ever and is now. That's my wife, actually. That's Chris back there.
Yeah.
He has been. I don't know where she found it, but this guy is tweeting like little moments from our show over the years.
Yeah, he is.
And he tweeted that one, which was the one where he did Chris Berman introducing the entire Sunday countdown lineup, which it was then, which was Chris Carter, Keyshawn Johnson, Mike Ditka, and that's the one where Ditka his entire imitation of Ditka is just chewing gum.
It was fantastic.
And I was watching that the other day, and it made me laugh so hard I couldn't stand it. I mean, all these years after he did it, it was very funny.
And I guess in rolling right into a Mike Ditka story, how about the story of him at the airport? Him being wanded. You wand Mike Ditka at an airport? Seriously?
We had done the Monday night football game in Oakland, and it was you, me, and Ditka and Susie Culber were the broadcast team, and they rush us out of there to get us to the San Francisco airport to take red eyes back east, and we're flying to Chicago. Right. And Susie, her baby was very little at that time. I mean, she was still breastfeeding, so she was pumping.
Right.
So she's got breast milk, and they're giving. This is, you're in a West Coast red eye, so everyone's tired, everyone's carrying pillows. We're all kind of bleary-eyed, but kind of fired up from doing the telecast, whatever it is. And I noticed that they're giving Susie a hard time about getting her breast milk through security. So I'm over there trying to sort of help her, and all of a sudden I look up, and there's Ditka. They've pulled him out of the line.
I mean, still dressed to the nine. I mean, we all couldn't have changed quick enough to get into comfortable clothes. Not Ditka.
Standing up, sunglasses, tie up, jacket on, arms out like
chewing
this.
Chewing gum,
being wanded. And I'll never forget thinking to myself, if there's a problem on this plane, I think I want Mike Ditka
Everybody is running behind Mike Ditka to protect us, and here I wanding this guy.
And he and I wound up actually seated next to each other on that plane, and that terrible sleep you get on a red eye, and I kind of woke up when we were landing, and I look up, and there's Ditka just sitting straight up like Putty on Seinfeld. Yep. He's just up, sunglasses still on. He looks at me and goes, "How you doing, Greeny?" And I mean, as out of it as I could possibly be. But Ditka was terrific with us.
He was something
Ditka
else.
used to do our show
Mondays
in the old studio. I mean, back when, again, before this was anything, I mean, these people helped make us because people wanted to hear what Mike Ditka had to say.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd come in and he was terrific with us every week.
But that what a still picture that was, looking at Ditka dressed to the nines, sunglasses on at midnight being wanded. That was something.
That's quite an hour we had working here with Bill Curry back to back with Frank Caliendo. We have a lot left to do here, and it will continue in just a moment on Mike and Mike.
one is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Well, Greeny and Golic, congratulations on 18 years with Mike and Mike. You have been around a long time. When you aired your first episode, the Expos were still a team. LeBron was still in high school, and I was still president. The dark ages, a long time ago. And for 18 years, you've made us laugh and helped us learn. Thanks for helping a couple of years ago to publicize the work that my foundation is doing, and with Kobe and several others, to try to help give us a healthier future. I hope you have a healthier future, a happy one. Lord knows you've learned it. We'll miss you. Thanks for the laughs and the memories.
Okay.
Wow.
That's a big one right there. Bill Clinton.
We have had the opportunity to meet quite a few presidents, actually. Thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very nice. We were invited to the White House. I would say that's one of our great memories also.
Without question.
Bill Clinton was the president when we were first started, but the election was that year, that fall.
Right. Mm-hmm.
George W. Bush was president for 8 years of our tenure, and then Barack Obama was president for 8 years, and now obviously with Donald Trump. But that was extremely nice.
That was incredibly nice. Let me do it. Mike and Mike, remind you want to get in touch with us. Tweet us at Mike and Mike through the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Show her how thankful you are this holiday season with beautiful bouquets from 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, you can get 24 multicolored roses for $24 to order. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. When we went to the White House, that's when we really got a lot into the country music. Kenny Chesney performed there, and I remember Jake met Kenny and got kind of a bond with him, and we started getting into the country music. And then going back to what we were talking about before, now that everybody can join us, we became really, really good friends. We're very good friends with Kenny, but great friends with Darius Rucker, who, again, tweeted us that he's saddened, he's saying, saddened today is a tremendous understatement. At Mike and Mike has been a part of my life for 17 years. Greeny is my friend. Golic is family. And not having them on every morning is going to be hard to deal with. Thank you guys for the entertainment. Good luck, y'all. And we thank him for the entertainment.
He's the best.
He's such a great friend. Like I said, he is family. And I judge a lot of that on how people treat my kids. And he has treated my kids like they were his kids. And for that, I will always be a friend of his and grateful to him for it, and look forward to obviously hanging out with him still a lot more.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he stinks at DraftKings, by the way.
He does.
We're killing him.
He makes a $20 weekly donation to our DraftKings pool, which is much appreciated. But he is a very nice guy. I don't know him as on the level that you do, but certainly we used to go to his golf event every single year. Raised tons and tons of money. So that's very nice. Look, why don't we just tell stories here since we were on it? Going to the White House was genuinely a great thrill. And we were invited there in the summer of 2008 by President George W. Bush, who used to have every single summer, he would have a T-ball game on the lawn of the White House. And they would have a kid from each of the 50 states that would get to play in it. And I don't know how they, chose the children who got to play, but they made it into a really big deal.
They did.
So the coaches were Ryne Sandberg and John Smoltz. Kenny Chesney saying, "Take me out to the ball game." The honorary commissioner was Frank Robinson, and you and I were the announcers.
Right.
And we did the announcing for it. I will never forget this as long as I live. And then we get done. And your wife, Chris, couldn't come for some reason.
Sydney had a swim meet.
Why.
Sydney had a swim meet that was going to be in Florida, so Chris was going with her there. So Jake, my son Jake, came on that trip with me, and ended up sitting right next to Laura Bush,
which was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
I'm singing, "Oh God, Jake, don't say anything, don't swear, don't say anything bad." Just always wondering with Jake what's going to go on.
And my wife was with me, and she became good friends with Ryne Sandberg's wife. They kind of bonded, and so we were there for the afternoon T-ball game, and then there was a dinner that night to which we were invited, which is where we saw Kenny Chesney.
Right.
So Stace and Ryne Sandberg's wife, whose name is Margaret, they left in the middle of the baseball game to go get their hair and makeup done for the dinner. Okay. Fast forward, the game ends. These guys with guns the size of us walk over to us and say, "The president would like you to wait here a moment and accompany him back to the Oval Office, or the White House, wherever it was he was going."
To his house.
I mean, A, that's terrific, and B, you're not saying no to that.
What do we say? No, I got something else I got to do.
So now it's you, me, Kenny Chesney, and President Bush walking up this path. So we're walking back up the path, and he's talking to you a lot about football. about Notre Dame and all that kind of stuff. And I can tell that he recognizes that he's talking to you and hasn't said much to me. So he turns to me and he says, "So, Greeny, where's your wife?" And he has a much heavier accent in person than I had expected, and I could not come up with a line fast enough. So I said, "Mr. President, she went to get her hair and makeup done for the party tonight." Okay, fast forward. 7 hours later, he's the president of the United States. 7 hours later, we come back for the dinner, and we each get taken 2 by 2 into the room to get a picture with him and the First Lady. We come around the corner. We start walking towards them. He looks right up at us without a word, and he says, "Stacey, your hair and makeup look terrific." I will never forget that as long as I live. That's the President of the United States. It is one of the genuinely memorable moments of my life. It was
very cool. And before that, when we were doing pictures, you and I got a picture with him and his wife, and there's a Marine there that announces you, and you come around the corner, and as we came around, he goes, "Mike and Mike!" And we were like, wow, how cool is this? His wife, and then he starts talking to us, and there's a line of people to get pictures. His wife, I don't care who you are, he got that look.
Oh.
He got that look that we are all very used to from the wife, like, "Wrap it up, George. We got a long line of people here to take pictures with."
Not only that, but I think she was aggravated because as a consequence of him yelling Mike and Mike, we were never formally introduced.
Right.
So she didn't know who we were. She had no idea who we were. And she's very proper. And so she, I think, wanted to greet us, and she couldn't because she didn't know our names. So you're right. She gave that stare.
She did. She gave that
the President of the United States.
And then the cool thing about the dinner there is whoever you're with, they don't seat you with them. They put, like, Jake was there with me, so they put him at a different table. They want you to be with different people. Who was I at the table with?
Hank Paulson, the Secretary of the Treasury.
I'm like, everybody's at, like, they're looking at you, and you send the menus around to get autographs of everybody, and I'm thinking, like, who is this?
Yeah, Golic.
Yeah.
So we all see who we're sitting with.
Yeah.
Stace, I think, was sitting with Kenny Chesney. I was sitting with Ryan Sandberg, so I was happy as a clam. Golic comes over. "I don't even know who this is. Henry Paulson."
Yeah.
I was like, Mike, that's the Secretary of the Treasury.
Yeah.
You're sitting next to a member of the cabinet.
If I'd have known that, could he give me some money? The Treasury, isn't that what he does? He print money? Is that what he does? Am I got that right?
Well,
is that right?
That isn't exactly what he does, but that he could have. Let's put it this way:
couldn't he give me a 20 or something?
He was the CEO of Goldman Sachs. He probably now has an island.
All right.
So if you were looking for island money, that would have been the guy.
I probably
to talk
should have
to.
been a little nicer then, huh?
Well, listen. From what I recall, we were friendly.
No, we were.
Anyway, that was a great experience. Thank you, President Clinton, for doing that with us.
That was
cool. That was really very nice. Okay, we'll take a short break. We'll come back, and off the top of the next hour, one last time, we will do the Good Morning
there
song.
You go.
As we finish this thing up. Oh, and we do Love It or Shove It, too.
Yes,
Bubba's
we do.
on the way. Back in a moment.
Hey, girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips, too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates, too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.